Good morning, everybody. I thought I'd have a quick talk over a coffee this morning about the importance of sound in your productions. When you first start filmmaking and you go to film school, everybody's just really keen to grab a camera and start filming, and they often underestimate the importance of sound. Remember, it's not just moving pictures, it's moving pictures and sound. So, I mean, story is really important, and having a clear visual idea about how you want to tell that story is really important as well. But you should also start to be thinking right from the beginning about what kind of atmosphere you want to create using sound, how you're going to shoot your, how you're going to record your sound in the field. Often camera sound, or just about always, camera sound doesn't cut it. In the case of these little blogs, it doesn't matter because, you know, I'm not trying to cut through a lot of atmospherics. This is a very controlled location, and I'm only about a metre away from the camera, so I don't need to set up a shotgun mic or have any fancy sound equipment. But when it comes to shooting a film, that's a different story, and especially when you're trying to capture dialogue between two people. So you've got to think about having a boom mic, a shotgun mic on a boom. So shotgun mics can be quite expensive, and in order to have a boom, you've got to have a boom operator as well. A boom is a big sort of stick thing with a microphone connection on the end of it that you can put a microphone on, so that the boom operator can isolate whoever's talking in the scene or where the sound's coming from. So that's, I mean, just recording field sound is really important. And the funny thing about recording field sound is, if you do it right, nobody notices. But if you do it wrong, then it can ruin your whole production, which seems silly, but ideally what you want is for your field sound to be clear, for there to be no distortions or any sound pollution from other sources. And you want to make sure that you capture all those moments in the dialogue that the actors are putting, you know, themselves into. So, also when it comes to atmospherics and sound, you should really start thinking about that at the planning stage along with everything else. It shouldn't be something you think of as a post-production chore. I think there's people like the Coen brothers and Quentin Tarantino who actually start playing some of the music that they might have in the soundtrack, or that might sort of suit the atmosphere of their film while they're still in the writing process. So that's how important it is, even for just inspiring you, but also it can be very useful for when it comes to inspiring actors. There's nothing more fulfilling for an actor than seeing the finished product. But if you can show up at the beginning of each day with the rushes from the day before, and you'll have cut together the scene, and you've put in some atmospheric sound or some emotional music, that can be really inspiring, and that can drive them forwards. And with these low budget productions where people are often not getting paid, it's important to keep everybody's spirits up. So that can be the enthusiasm that might make sure that the actor is right there for the entire time that they're supposed to be there, that you don't get through to like the 70% of shooting their scene and then they decide they're bored now, or they can't afford the petrol, or you need to keep them motivated so you can keep them coming back to set. So sound is a really important part of things. Sound is an emotional trigger. Sound is an important part of your atmosphere, as important as lighting, as important as atmospheric effects like wind or mist or smoke. And again, it's always underestimated. When it comes to choosing your music, make sure you choose music that's copyright cleared. Don't just use a song that you may have bought on iTunes and think, oh well, I bought it on iTunes, therefore I own it. That's not how a copyright works. You have a limited license when you get a song from iTunes. It's really just for your personal use, and it's not for any form of redistribution or republishing. And when you put out a film with that music on it, you're essentially republishing it. So, and you don't have publishing rights. You have the rights for personal use only. So my advice is to start thinking about your sound right from the word go. Start finding musicians that can help you make your soundtrack, or start learning how to make music, or get a keyboard and learn how to just make tones. I know that people have probably seen quite a few songs that I've done on my YouTube channel now, or at least they may have seen one or two. The fact is that I didn't start as a musician, I started as a film student, and I learned multi-tracking by learning editing. So all of a sudden I realised how I could, lay down a drum track, and then lay down a guitar track, and lay down a bass track, and then lay down vocals, and do multi-vocals, and that came from simple A and B roll editing and learning how to do that, and then that became simple A and B roll music recording, and now that's just now with the digital age, it's just multi-tracks of sound and vision, and things are starting to get really exciting for me, and for everybody. I know everybody, a lot of people can take that stuff for granted now, but for me it's still relatively new technology. 20 years seems like a long time, but when you're 44 it isn't. In fact, I think it's been 24 years that I've seen technology change. So yeah, sound is really important. Don't underestimate sound in your production. Think about sound in your pre-production stage a lot. Make sure that you're copyright cleared, so that when you say you want to release your film, even if it's a non-profit film, but you want to stick it onto YouTube and actually make a little bit of money from views, which is going to be minimal, like 20 cents for like 100 views or something. It's not a lot of money. You need a huge following, but it can actually build your audience and set you up in a better space for future productions. So you want to make sure that you're at least starting to make a little bit of money off that, or that you can, so that if things go viral, which there's no guarantees of, but maybe something goes viral and you get 1 million hits, you can make a fair bit of money from that. I'm not sure exactly on the figures, but I'm just doing a social media marketing course that talked about the figures, so I can look that up. But anyhow, that's not important. Forget about that. Well, don't forget about it, but it's not your main consideration. Your main consideration is to think just as much about your sound design, about your field sound recording, and about your post-production sound as you would the cameras and the framing and the actors and the story. They're all important. They all drive the story along.